Greetings, folks, and welcome to the inaugural episode of Plastic Cracked Addict Therapy Sessions. I am your host, Coco Smooth, and today I was compelled to get out of what I normally share and do. I'm normally the Funko guy, the vinyl guy, but tonight, I am breaking the mold and starting to share things that also interest me outside of the vinyl therapy world. The vinyl world, and this is what I got. Valaverse Action Force Infantry Commando. Now, this came out maybe 2 years ago and was considered was a Dorkside exclusive, store shop exclusive, but something happened to them in the middle of uh, Valaverse making a deal with them. Bobby Vala being the uh, um, the guy who runs Action Force, Bobby, and he in the middle of when they did this exclusive, the shop folded, and so people were going to have troubles getting this, and somehow Bobby Vala made it happen by buying up all of the stock that he had originally sold them so that he could sell it at his own shop. And I only learned about it this year because oh my gosh, everybody knows me, who's ever known me has known me to be the guy who spends most of his money on vinyl therapy, on Funko Pops and stuff. But every now and then, a third-party Transformer or a He-Man figure or a Thundercats figure or even a gosh dang, in this case, a G.I. Joe figure is what got me into this. I remembered a conversation I had with a buddy, one of my frat brothers back in college, and he talked about his favorite character being Dusty, and because I when I saw Dusty in FYE being sold in the clearance rack against my better judgment, I picked him up and I was like, you know what, I got to get this in representation of that conversation that I had with one of my close brothers in the fraternity. And because, being a veteran of Operation Iraqi Freedom, being a desert, soldier, I have a very soft spot for desert soldier related stuff, right? So, yeah, no, and I picked it up, and I'm going to do a whole uh, plastic crack addict therapy sessions for this on its own, but I'm just letting you know where it began. And yeah, and this happened maybe a month ago. I picked it up and I was just like, and then I was like, man, but he can't be by himself. And man, looked at some YouTube videos trying to find out any other desert warriors. And this is the closest thing that I thought that I saw at the time, like, oh, wow. Well, there was one other thing, and I'm going to do a plastic crack addict therapy sessions video on that too. But yeah, we'll get to that. Anyways, this is what I saw, and I was like, oh my, this reminds me very much of my time in the desert. The uniform and all, right? I was not 11 Bravo, so no, I wouldn't, but I have a very soft spot for anything that looks like my time in the military, so in the army. So I was like, oh wow, this thing looks great. The articulation for this is very much like the what we got going on with G.I. Joe Classified. Now, since this is a third party piece, their first attempt, and they did a great job for their first attempt. I gotta say that these things came out well, and they can be congruent with any of the G.I. Joe Classified series, pieces that there are. They just match. They're congruent. 1/12 scale, 6-inch line. So yeah, the only problem is the weapons are so good, as you can see here, that it comes with, that it kind of makes the Hasbro stuff, look kind of amateur, right? It looks all right, but with all the paint, the paint details and articulation and the more realistic weapons on this thing, it's just, You know what I'm saying? So yeah, but other than that, I love the way that these are congruent with each other. These things you could, I got him because I felt bad for Dusty, because Dusty was just all by himself. He was like, dude, there's a bunch of green, and Dusty was like the only desert warrior I had. So I was like, let me see what other options there are out there. And this is what I saw. I was like, oh my, and this thing was pretty awesome. And I'm going to do another video that shows this guy, my other desert guy. But yeah, right now the focus is on the infantry commando, right? But yeah, look, the height, everything, it's so cool. I love it. It's just they're congruent. And so Dusty's not by himself. Now he has a battle buddy with him ready to go, and do damage, whatever missions they got to do, right? Now, each of these figures, every Valaverse figure that I've seen, Action Force figure I've seen, is has got these stands. In this case, this is the desert style stand that go with this, right? And that's pegs and everything. I won't be using this, but I like the idea of this. At least not yet. I just enjoy having them out there. Just, oh man. And here's the great thing about these things: comes with multiple hands. You could remove them. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, six. Yes, 6 hands. Yeah, fist open. All the different ways you want to do it. And you could replace the helmet gear to go with this, so you could get telecoms instead, and an alternate head in case you want. You don't want it to be white. You could have, black, which I have for. The funny thing is the desert one also has that same option, which again I'll show you guys in a subsequent video later on. Yeah, this is good. I love it. He's got a baklava on. They both got a baklava on. I don't know if I'm even pronouncing that right, but or gator, whatever. I'm sorry. Yeah, on. It's kind of cool. It comes with, I think it might be a 9mm or a Glock. I'm not sure. My weapon skills suck. Even though I was in the army, my gosh, it was just something that weapons was just not what I was about. I was more about logistics. Ultimate Pogue. That was me. Logistics and personnel, making sure that mail got delivered, that kind of thing. And it comes with knives and spare, magazines. This is cool because I think the magazines can be removed. But let me see. Let me take it off. The helmet can be removed with night vision goggles. Everything kind of cool. Let's see. Guess not. It's either that or oh yeah, it can be taken out. So yeah, just really tight fit. See, mag. And yeah, the mag pouch. You could take the mags can be removed from here, and also the knife. Really cool. Let's see, Gerber kind of knife, I think. Either way, I rocked when I was out there. I rocked SOG in a K-bar. But yeah, really cool. It comes, yeah. The real cool thing about these is come with nods, and the nods you can take the nods and have it so that you can have it on, so you can see nighttime mode. Really cool. I love this. This thing is so dope, guys. All the different kind of articulation that you could think of too, in a GI Joe classified. Ankle tilts, ankle rockers, boot swivel, bicep swivels, wrist swivels, removable hands, double jointed elbows without pins. Really cool stuff. Joints without pins. Yeah, toys have advanced so much, and not only that, you could remove the pieces, the gear, the vest, and the medical pouch, and the Kydex holster. Yeah, kind of cool. And look, the communicator with the antenna. You could put backpacks on here, but I don't see a need to give him one, especially since there's none out there that'll fit with this thing in the way. Um, but yeah, I love this. This thing is so good, guys. Guys, if you guys are into 112 scale stuff, this is a really good buy. Highly recommend this one. Um, so let's look. Yeah, you can just pop out the head and replace it easily. But some of them, depending on the older the stuff, that you might have to put it in hot water because it might be too stiff and you might break it. So recommend that you put it in hot water first for 30 seconds to loosen it up first, the joint, so that you don't accidentally snap any of your stuff, especially the first generation of Valaverse stuff. He warned us in his website. I'm glad that there's a YouTube to tell me these things. But yeah, here's his command file, 11 Bravo, which is Army US designation for infantry, various rank affiliate, Republic Territory Guard, various. Yeah, this thing looks so good. And yeah, I was very fortunate that I was able to get this on the cheaps. The latecomer tax was not as expensive as I thought. This retailed at $30 in the, when it first came out, $31. I was able to get it for 45 on eBay. So yeah, and this is scarce. It's hard to find these things. And another thing, guys, for those who are just tuning in finally to get these things, you're going to want to save these action points, because the Valaverse.com website, he does have special figures in which you can actually turn some of these in if you accumulate enough of these points, so you could redeem for their website specials and stuff. Yeah, I love it. It reminds me of being a kid. And yeah, this thing looks good. The art, everything. Yeah, the Valaverse has a comic book, its own thing. Now, there's a story about Action Force. I'm sure if you YouTube it, they'll tell you everything. But the gist of this is that Action Force was originally the UK's answer to G.I. Joe, but it was originally by Palatoys, Toys or something like that. Palatoys, yeah. And then somewhere in the 80s and 90s, Action Force was was what GI Joe was. They sold GI Joes with Palatoy, UK related, style, Joes. It was really cool stuff. Of course, I didn't know about it because what did I know in the 80s? Didn't have social media. We didn't know that, the UK had their own awesome set of toys. I'm only finding about this right now from, YouTube channels by Analog Toys, who has a really good history in explaining the Action Force stuff. His entire channel is dedicated to explaining all this. And Bobby Valla, who was once an employee of Hasbro, who worked on the GI Joe line, he was let go, and it was a big mistake on Hasbro's part, because now they created a menace by making him, go out there, and he was ambitious and he bought the rights to Action Force, the name, and decided to make his own thing. And while he could have easily tried to do the Palatoy related figures from back in the day, he decided to kind of work on none of the nostalgia stuff. Maybe it's something that may be revisited sometime in the near future. I'm hoping, because I definitely would love to get, updated like GI Joe classified versions of the stuff that was strictly from the UK. You know what I mean? Like Baron Iron Blood and a lot of the SAS figures that they had going on there. So really cool stuff. And again, I will be doing more Valaverse, single focus figures for you guys to see. There's a bunch of other people who'd already done this, but I could not contain my own excitement for this. I'm going to be spreading, my love for this line. And of course, some GI Joe classified stuff. I love both lines. And I love how, because of Bobby Valla and his style of stuff, it's keeping Hasbro on their toes, and now they're coming up with clever ways to make sure that they have stuff to compete with, the style and quality of the things that come out of Action Force. While the prices of the stuff that Hasbro's been doing has been exponentially going up, and I mean fast. Bobby Vala decided that he was gonna hook up the customers, the fans, and like keep their prices low and even drop prices on the next wave that's coming out of stuff. So, it's stuff like that that make me want to support this line. Um, I've been a 6-inch guy mostly because of Marvel Legends back in the day. Then eventually, Masters of the Universe Classics, and then I retired Masters of the Universe Classics and didn't pick up any action figures really since, because I just, I don't know, I just got overwhelmed. I just didn't like the idea of having to buy more, Masters of the Universe stuff. So I ended up just retiring from Masters of the Universe and stuck with pops and comic books. I was like, okay, and third party Transformers, which I don't do videos of because I don't know how to transform, and you guys will just probably downvote those. The Transformers community will probably just downvote all of that. They're pretty harsh critics. So yeah, I'm staying in my lane. I decided to do, things that are more simple, things that are easy. This is easy and simple. Articulation, all of it really good. So if you've ever messed with a GI Joe classified piece, then you know exactly what this is going to be like. Except I think the joints might be stiffer and better. These things don't tend to fall as often as the stuff that I get from the GI Joe classified, but I'm a nostalgia guy, so I pick up the classified stuff strictly on, nostalgia. There is no nostalgia here. This is all just because this thing looks like dope stuff, and I like to do dope things because I'm dope. So, so that's why I got into this. And guys, this thing is great. I highly recommend it. Yeah, you could see a couple of other YouTubers already do this. Another good one is done by the like, again, the Analog Toys guys. Those guys are really good. And Deluxe, this guy's he did a pretty good. He inspired. I watched his video. I was like, man, I need to get this. I really need to get this. And so yeah, that's all I have for this segment of for the plastic crack addict. Plastic crack addiction therapy sessions. I am your host, Coco Smooth. And until the next video, folks, ciao.